Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 science fiction drama In the Shadow of the Moon, the new Netflix film. And it is a film that is directed by Jim Mickle and it stars Boyd Holbrook, Cleopatra Coleman and Michael C. Hall. Yes, that Michael C. Hall from Dexter. And this film is set through different periods in time, and it's like a time travelling science fiction film. And initially it is set in 1989 or 1988, I forget now, I think it's 1988 initially, and it focuses on Boyd Holbrook's character, who at that point in time is a police officer, but is a rookie police officer. And on the streets of Philadelphia there are these weird murders that are taking place, and these murders are weird in that people seem to be hemorrhaging blood from their head and the brains kind of dissolve and they die instantly. It's a pretty messy death and they seem to be completely at random. However, on this one fateful night they track down the killer. Boyd Holbrook's character tracks down this killer because he's determined to make detective, so he's really keen to get this case solved. However, it comes at a cost, because while he's tracking down this killer, who's this young lady with a hoodie that's seemingly doing these killings, while he's tracking this killer down this fateful night in 1988, his wife, who is pregnant, goes into a difficult labour, and he is given a daughter but loses his wife, and he's then full of regret. However, they seem to have solved the case, as the killer is found and killed that night. However, 9 years later the killings start again in 1997, and at this point he is a police detective, and he starts putting two and two together, and it seems too similar to the previous murders. And he does his own investigations. Michael C. Hall is Holt, is like lieutenant, doesn't believe, he thinks it's a copycat, but he doesn't believe it is. Same sort of killings are going on. He does his own investigations, and again he is confronted with the same killer from 1988. And then it continues on again. Every 9 years this film then opens in 9 years later each time, and each time this film opens, Boyd Holbrook's character is older and more obsessed each time with tracking down this killer and determined to put a stop to this killer's actions, as he believes strongly that it is a time traveller, and he's desperate to prove it, but he's also desperate to get his life that he lost back, because he's losing touch with his daughter. He's losing his touch with life, reality. He's just become this obsessed person with tracking down this time traveller. And then eventually there is a confrontation that takes place 9 years, I think it's 2006, I don't know. As a confrontation takes place, as he's a much older man, between him and the time traveller, that reveals everything to him, that puts it all in perspective, if you like. Now, it's quite a hard film to explain in a lot of ways, but just by saying that this is like a time travelling science fiction film, that can either put you off or really interest you. Now, some time travelling films can be a real pain to watch because they get bogged down in the details and they get so obsessed with getting this right and that right. This one isn't as concerned as that. The science scenes, to work and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't overly bore you with the science and things like that. And this film actually is quite interesting in a lot of ways, because it starts, the first two sections of the film, the 1988 section and then the 1997 section, I believe it is, they're heavy on the action and the investigations and stuff like that, and the action and the chasing, and it's a bit more high octane. And then as the character gets older, it slows down and it becomes more like a drama, and because as he gets older and he starts doing his own investigations as the years go on, it it turns from like a high octane science fiction action flick, and it morphs into more like the intelligent sci-fi drama. So it's quite an interesting film. It's like a film of two halves. Now I think that will put a lot of people off, because they'll kind of say, oh god, it starts dragging about halfway through. And it does, but I think it does it on purpose. It slows the pace down. It allows the story to breathe. As the character's getting older, the story slows down to match the pace of the character, if you like. And I think it's all done on purpose. And it's actually a really quite well made film. The story comes to a conclusion at the end that is actually quite satisfying. There is a connection takes place between the characters that I think was ultimately quite satisfying for me, and I was quite impressed with this film. I think it's going to put quite a few people off because of the pacing. I mean, a lot of people are probably going to point out the pacing issues with this film, but I think it's done deliberately, and it didn't really bother me that much. I enjoyed both parts of it, like the faster paced first half of the film and the slower paced second half of the film. I thought they complemented each other quite well. So I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. I was reasonably impressed with it. I do think it's worth checking out if you're a fan of time travelling science fiction films. There's probably a few plot holes here and there that you could pull apart if you wanted to, but I don't think anything so plainly obvious that it spoils the film, certainly I would say anyway. So definitely check it out if you get the chance. It's a pretty decent Netflix film, and one that I certainly enjoyed. So thanks for watching everybody, and of course I'll see you next time on Screen Stars.